Hi everyone, I'm Larry Satchwell. June 1st, time for a garden update. I'm standing in front of the same sunflower that I did my May 15th update. I didn't want to get on that ladder again because I didn't feel comfortable going up a couple more rungs. So I MacGyvered together this pole, and the sunflower is now 13 feet 3 inches off of the ground. That's amazing. And I've seen the finches in their summer color, beautiful bright yellow, and I'm sure they're going to be visiting this sunflower soon. Let's walk through and see what we've got. If you've ever left your garden for a week in the prime growing season and return, things look completely different. And this looks rather chaotic, even to me. So let's get started. So since my last update, I've only been home for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, because of our trip to Texas and Highland Games. This is the potato patch, and they're starting to turn yellow. This is the Kennebec side. The other side is golden Yukon. But I would suspect there's some potatoes in here. Let's see if we can dig one up. Last week when we were in Texas, I was a little concerned about the garden getting enough water, but we had well over 2 inches of rain. Yeah, here's a small one. This is a perfect boiling size. Remember, this is a determinate type of potato, so adding soil up here on the leaves is not going to get you any more potatoes. I'm going to let these go until they're completely dead or very close to it, because I've learned in the South here, if you don't harvest these potatoes when the vines are dead, these potatoes will start growing. And you don't want that. One of the goals I had in the garden this year was to have more plants than weeds, if that makes sense. And I'm almost there. These radishes have gone to seed while we were gone, and I'm going to let 1 or 2 of these plants, they have a beautiful bloom, I'm going to let 1 or 2 of these plants go ahead and go to seed, because you can use the seed pods in the salad and it adds a radish taste. At the end of this bed, I've got a crookneck yellow squash. The beets are right on the other side. We'll be pulling all that up. I can't plant any kind of lettuce other than year-round lettuce. And that's the only lettuce I have found that grows in Georgia all year. And it's from Pine Tree Seeds. I haven't been home, so I'm starting to get some leaf damage. And that's caused by this little, where is it? That's caused by this little beetle right here. I just find it easy to kind of go by and squish them. I don't think BT will work on this, but the damage isn't great yet. And we've got some yellow squash coming on right there. Those are really good picking size as opposed to these. I found these 2 monsters Saturday afternoon while I was walking through. This is going to be great chicken feed. While we're at the strawberries here, let's look at those. These are ever-bearing strawberries, so we'll get a few more blooms, and I do see a few blooms in here, but for the most part, our main strawberry harvest is over. Karen, bless her heart, Karen, I can't say bless her heart because she's my wife, but she did a great job weeding these. Now, I'll go to Tractor Supply sometime. I've got another Highland Games coming up, and we'll get that chopped straw and mulch these really well. But I've never had strawberries come through the winter as well as these did. Had a heavy cloth over them all winter long. Next to the strawberries is my corn crop. This one has been knocked over, I suspect, by a raccoon. Eli's corn here that he planted is done really well. I think every one of them came up, whereas this one I planted on Earth Day did not. I really need to thin these out. It's time to put up an electric fence. The raccoons ate the corn. They wait until the corn is at its very best peak. I think they come and smell it every night, and then they eat it. That's not going to happen this year. I'm going to put an electric fence around this perimeter, and we'll see if that keeps them out. Next to the corn, my cucumbers. And these radishes that have way gone to seed, it's time to pull them, but it's time to give these cucumbers a little more light. So let's do that. I will be composting these because I know there's no herbicides in them to kill next year's crop. So this cucumber decided it wanted to go up the radish plant. Let me see if I can untangle it a little bit here and put it back up on the trestle. I don't see any cucumbers yet. This is the year-round lettuce I was talking about. I planted these in basically potting soil before we left to Texas, and they've come up, and that'll be our next crop in about 3 weeks. At the end of this bed, more radishes that I was using as a cover crop. Time for them to go. And beautiful squash right there. We've got enough for a meal. You see where the blossom was on the end? That's a female blossom, whereas this is a male blossom, no fruit. So if you want to use these blossoms and fry them, oh, there's a pollinator come on. Thank you, Mr. Bee. That's a bumblebee, not a carpenter bee. He's way down in there. If you want to take these blossoms and fry them, and I might do that later today, you want to get the male plants, not the female. So I'm at the other end of the corn bed. My onions are almost ready. You'll know they're ready when all these leaves fall over and die. And each one of these leaves represents one of the peels on the onion. So they're looking good. This variety is candy. I do have a weed in here. I buy these every year from Brown's Omaha onions online. Some of them are bigger than others. That's about the size of a tennis ball. The raspberries are pretty much done for the year. We'll get a few more, but kind of the kind you eat as you go. I put most of them the other day on my Dutch baby. I put in way too many, so they didn't rise very well, but it was delicious. I do need your help here. Let me show you this. I've got this plant that came up in the middle of the raspberry patch, and I've never seen it before. I don't know where it came from. Let me get you a close-up. I've taken pictures and put it on Google Lens, but no success. If you know what this is, let me know. Should I pull it and kill it, or let it go? I've mentioned before in my past videos that I think I thinned out the lotus too much. I'm not going to get any blooms this year, but look at all the tadpoles in there. Those are from toads. We have literally thousands of toads in our yard. The sun's not shining right now, so no action on this, but this little contraption has really cleaned this pond all year, all summer. And I had lettuce in here, and it's not doing so well, but I'm using it to propagate other plants. This is one of those African basils. A beefsteak here. These sunflowers on the other side, they're like 1.5 inches thick, but they're going to be blooming here, and they're going to come out, and my tomato here will get a lot more sun. Then I'm still on the fence whether I want to try a single stem tomato or just let these suckers go. And I'm falling towards the size of letting the suckers go. Right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tomatoes on this plant. And I'll show you, I've got a celebrity over there that's just covered up with them. Got a lot of little wheat coming up from the Pennington cut straw. And I'm deadheading some of these marigolds. Some I'm letting go, like this and this head are already there. That happened while we were in Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and let those produce seed, and I think I'll let those two as well. This is the African basil. I overwintered. I've been clipping it so that it produces a more bushy plant. If I wanted to take this in and propagate it, all I would need to do is put a little rooting hormone. I'm not even sure you need that, but that will propagate a new plant right there. On the other side of the trestle here, that's a zucchini, and I see where several of them have been harvested. And Nikki, who took care of the chores, I'm hoping she got those, because that's where I found that big giant one. They're kind of hard to reach right now. So on this big beef tomato, I actually chopped it off down here so that it would produce 2 separate vines. And it's doing really well. I like this method. On here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tomatoes. So maybe that's the answer, to chop it off when it's young and let it produce several limbs. So I've turned the camera around 180 degrees. My Cocosema, I love this plant, but I've got Bermuda grass in here that's going to be really hard to kill and not kill the plants. Hopefully it'll get really thick and I can keep pulling that Bermuda and it will eventually die out. On my last video, this plant was really looking bad and it picked up a lot with the rain. More basil over here. These are Jerusalem artichokes. I mowed yesterday afternoon, so some of the clippings got in this pot, but there are thousands of tadpoles in there too. I don't know how a toad was able to get in there, lay their eggs, and get out. I'm hoping there's not a dead toad at the bottom of the kettle here. But I mentioned before that I don't do many pots, but I did do this one this year, and it's looking really good. This is some more of that African basil, sweet potato vines, some ferns, petunias. I like the way that looks. Maybe I'll do more of that. So this is the butterfly plant Jamie gave me, and it is looking great. It has finally found a location it likes. And in fact, I think it's even spreading out here a little bit. Next year, I'll probably try to move these Jerusalem artichokes, although it's really hard to get all of them, and give this even more sunlight. But I'm thinking it's going to bloom here soon. Got some sedum over here. That's a white flowering sedum. About all the gardening I've tried to do since we got home from Texas is to lasso in, for a better word, this bed. I love this bed. I've cut this plant back a lot, and it needs to be cut back again. My bachelor buttons were falling into the aisle. I hate this setup. It looks just ridiculous. And so if you have any suggestions how I don't know what I need to put around here, but I need something different. I mentioned on my last video that I didn't think my perennial sweet peas were going to make it. I do have 4 plants here, I believe, and they look a lot better than they did. So maybe they will make it. I don't know what a perennial sweet pea looks like or what it does, but hopefully it'll make it. This is Shasta Daisy right here and Sweet Williams next to it. We're now in the other triangular bed. This is Early Girl, and it is just full. I thought it was a determinate type, but evidently it's not, so it's coming out of the top here. I've got Roma, 4 Roma here, all in cages. And more of the onion crop. This is what didn't fit in that bed. And these are so much bigger than the ones over in the bed. So next year, note to self, either plant those, right now they're on 4-inch centers, either plant those on 6-inch centers or plant more of them around here as companion plants with the tomatoes. And these marigolds over here are just beautiful. I have 1 pepper plant in the garden, and as you can see, it is doing beautiful. Purple peppers, we don't use a lot of peppers, so that'll be plenty for us all summer. We're on the other side of the triangular bed now. The sweet peas here, we've been eating, but they're done. So what I've been doing, this is tangled up in here, is cutting them off because these plants have fixed nitrogen in the soil. That's what peas do. I don't want to pull them up. That will lose the nitrogen. And this nitrogen is helping the tomatoes grow. So I clip them off and pull them up out here and feed these to the chickens. And there's still peas in here, but they are as hard as a marble. The buckwheat that I planted last summer, these are volunteer plants, and as you can see, they've gone to seed. I'll toss those back in, and we'll have some more cover crop to keep those weeds out. This bed virtually has no weeds in it. which I love, unless you consider this buckwheat a weed. So here we are in the flower bed, and what I've decided to do, last time I asked you if I should just make a video on the flowers and separate one from the vegetables. So what I'm going to do is try to figure out when the flowers start, and I'll put that in the description. So if you want to skip the vegetable garden and go straight to the flowers, you can do that. So this is the flower bed, and unfortunately there are some weeds in here. These are gardenias. Gardenias are kind of touch and go here in the south, but these are really doing well here. I love the smell. In fact, I just took a whole bunch of these and put them in a glass bowl and put them in the kitchen, and they have filled the room with their fragrance. So the balloon flowers are starting to bloom. Let me take you up there. Starting to bloom. You can see this is where they get their name. They look kind of like a hot air balloon. They open up into that beautiful flower. These are Shasta daisies that I started indoors last winter. This is the marshmallow yarrow. Very different from the other yarrow that looks like this yellow, and this other one up here. And then I have some white ones over here. This plant, forget-me-not, I planted this in a wall of water tunnel in October, I think, and it did well. I think next winter I will be, instead of using the milk crates, I have several of them, walls of water, and trying to get some plants going there. This is my lantana. I've been cutting it back. This thing gets so aggressive. It will easily be 4 or 5 foot wide and 5 feet tall by the end of the summer if I don't keep trimming it back. I trim it back because of the other plants around it. I have a Stellodora daylily up here, more yarrow, and this bugle weed I transplanted because I'll show you, let me show you right now. This is the froghorn. Frog toad something. I'll put it in the thing. I can never remember it. But it is said it was a spreading ground cover. They weren't lying. Those 2 white flags are where 2 3-inch pots started last fall. And right over there is where this bugle weed was, and you can see it's overcoming it. Now, I was a little disappointed because right here are some weeds coming up through it. So what I was hoping would be a living mulch, maybe not so much, but who knows what it would look like if it wasn't there, how many weeds would be in there. These Shasta daisies overwintered, did really well. Karen helped me tie back this Batistia plant, this false indigo, because it was overlapping my foxglove here. These are foxgloves I planted this spring, and I think the variety is Dalmatian, but they're beautiful. I got a bargain the other day at Lowe's. These Coreopsis, it was a 6-inch pot, and there were like 5 plants in it, so I tried to divide them. I've got to get some water on these, or they're not going to make it. The Black-Eyed Susans have seeded themselves and have done really well. This dead stuff here is the foliage from my mystery lily. And that wood sorrel I'm going to pull up sometime this week. I have 3 of these plants I planted last fall. I'm going to call them Goldcrest because, as you know, I cannot say the proper name of these plants. Anyway, if you've been with me a while, you might remember the video I did on mugwort. I hate mugwort. I also hate this stuff, sedge. And I did a whole video on getting rid of this, and I put in this fresh manure, and I have not looked at it in a year and a half or so. Let's see what's happening under there. So I've got a lot of roots. I don't know what these roots are from. Looks to me like it's Bermuda grass. But I am going to go ahead and expose this soil and see what happens. This manure here should be mature enough that I can plant things in it, but I'm going to wait and see. I'll finish pulling this out after I video. But let's see what grows in here. If the mugwort comes back, I'll let you know. And as I turn around here, you can see the verbena, and I've classified this as a weed. I've got all these black-eyed Susans coming up in between it, and there's the third of the three of the Goldcrest I have. Notice this one, which is on the edge of the manure, is almost half the size of the two that were not near the manure. The manure probably affected this plant because it had that herbicide in it. This Nigotia was all self-seeded. I love it. It even came up where my waterfall was last year. That's a different subject. Isn't that pretty? The pollinators love this plant. So do the hummingbirds. The black-eyed Susans are starting to bloom. Really pleased with the way they've spread. I had very few last year. These are some of the cornflower I planted here last year, the echinacea, and they are doing great. I really am happy with those. And look at the yarrow this year, so much thicker. More Shasta daisies that I planted from seed. I had my solar panel turned over because I didn't want that to run out of water while we were in Texas. Look at this basil. This is the same age as all the basil in the garden, except it's up here where it gets a good drainage and a lot of sun. All right, I could use some advice on this. This plant was looking beautiful when we left for Texas, but now it's coming out of the ground. I'm thinking that it might be a little too wet. This is my Mexican hat prairie coneflower. It's a native. It had one bloom on it. Oh, there it is. I saw some of these at the parks in Texas, and it was kind of growing wild. So, let me know what you think. Should I just try to replant it a little deeper here? Move it down the hill where it gets a little more drainage? Chop it back? I could really use your advice. These are false sunflowers. And again, self-seeded, and that's what I'm aiming for. A lot of self-seeders. A closer look at this Texas frog fruit. That's the name of it. It has these tiny little flowers on it. I don't think they're going to do much for pollinators. I've already moved these dianthesis that it was overcoming. And this is another new plant for me, feverfew. It's supposed to self-seed. It's a medicinal plant, so I don't know what exactly, I can't remember what it's for. But I'm hoping to fill this bed in with dianthesis. I'm always amazed at how fast this yarrow can take over. This was very, very thin here last year, and now it's just beautiful. My goldenrod here, I tried to divide, and when I left for Texas, there was a big strand here, but I see only two have survived. Maybe they got too much water too soon, I don't know. This, I think it's Anacanesis, has really filled in. The blooms on here are so tiny, but the hummingbirds like it, and this seems to be a really good spot for it. More salvia up here, and the yarrow. There's my beautiful maple. I've been cutting these back. This one has a bloom on it, so I'm not going to cut it, but I am going to cut this one. These will spread out and make a bigger bloom. You're sacrificing them now, but they will bloom better. There's one of those toads I was talking about. Where is it? Right there by the dandelion. This is alyssum I started from seed under the lights in the basement. It's doing really well. Got some more echinacea coming up here, and this dianthesis that just blooms and blooms. These petunias were left over from the boxes I made to put on the wall, and another of the basil. I had a lot of it. I'm going to leave you here today at the chicken coop. I really hate it when things go to waste. So we're going to be turning that squash that was overgrown into eggs. If you're a gardener, I hope your garden is doing well. Some may like my chaotic garden, and some may think it's just way too much like a jungle. For me, it's what I do. It's what I love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the garden on June 15th. Do not disturb this girl. She's sitting on some fertilized eggs that I got from my hay man.